talk about the declining points in fantasy quarterbacks through this season. So I did a little research, going to get you all the numbers. So through week 6, here are how many quarterbacks have had over 100 plus points for the past 5 seasons. So 2018, there was 18 quarterbacks. 2019, 10 quarterbacks. 2020, 18 quarterbacks. 2021, 19 quarterbacks. And then this year so far, there has only been 11 quarterbacks that have reached that number. Field Yates noted on Twitter that Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Matt Stafford combined have only had one 20-point game between all 4 of those guys, all perennial number 1 quarterbacks for most teams. And so here's my ask: is 2019 a blip, or is it like a blip this year, or is there a real concern going forward with the fantasy quarterbacks and the decline of what seems to be the passing offense for this season?
We're returning to the mean here is what's happening. I mean, if we look at in 2021, there were 44 players overall, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, that had over 100 points through week 6. In 2022, there are only 27 players overall. So in 2021, there were 11 running backs. 22, there's only 6. Wide receivers in 2021, there were 13. Wide receivers in 2022, there are 8. And there are tight ends, there were 2 each, Kelsey and Andrews, believe it or not there. So what we saw was just an insanely efficient 2021, and we're seeing a really crappy 2022. I mean, everything's down in scoring. So quarterbacks are down 38.8%, running backs down 45.4%, and wide receivers down 38.5%. So it's crazy. I mean, if you look back in 2020, 2019, 2018, we had 33, 32, and 43 players with over 100 points through week 6. From 2017 to 2014, we had 15, 28, 29, 24. So what we're doing is returning to the mean here. We saw the league went uber pass happy, offenses were awesome. What we're seeing here is defense is catching up, and we're seeing a lot of sloppy football as well.
So I actually have 2 takes on this, and that's why I was letting you get through that, Joe. I do agree with you. I think it is more of the mean, but you know what it really comes down to is these teams are just becoming more balanced. There's no more Detroit 0-16 Detroit Lions. There's no more 0-16 Cleveland Browns. Both those teams are actually playing really good games. And honestly, if anything, they're actually putting up a lot of fantasy points between them. And there used to be none of those, and then people would just do it against them. And it was like every week you stream the defense that the Detroit Lions or the Cleveland Browns were playing. So like we just get more of an evenly matched teams in this sense, and then defenses are getting better as well. But the thing about this, though, for specifically quarterbacks who have gotten injured this year, who were projected to be at least in the fantasy relevant range: Trey Lance, Dak Prescott, Tua, Daniel Jones, maybe not so much, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and Jameis Winston. So you got 7 guys right there, and then you have all these veteran quarterbacks: Brady, Rodgers, Tannehill, Matt Ryan, Stafford, and Russell Wilson, who have all just been long since due for a decline. Like Brady's the only one that slightly doesn't make any sense. Because I mean, he still has a squad around him. Obviously, he's had a couple games without some of them, but the rest of these guys, Stafford, the Rams did nothing. Matt Ryan is over the hill. Tannehill is over the hill as well. And then apparently Russell is too. And then Rodgers just has no one to throw to. So, I mean, it's more of just the fact that these teams that have these veteran quarterbacks have been overdue to lose out on this, because they're paying all these guys so much money, with the exception of Matt Ryan, probably, that they can't afford to field the team. Russell Wilson also, I guess that's just more of an outlier. And then the rest of these guys got injured, so their backups kind of mean that if you brought up like, maybe not Tua's, but if you brought like Dak and Cooper Rush together as one, they would be a top 10 quarterback. I mean, or at least close to it.
Yeah, and I think I kind of agree with both of you. I mean, the main problem, I think, is that we're in a transitional period with quarterbacks. Because the great quarterbacks, the ones that have been, churning out these fantasy seasons. I mean, Drew Brees is gone. Aaron Rodgers not having a good year. Tom Brady not having a good year. Matt Stafford not having a good year. Like Russell Wilson
Andrew
not
Luck.
having a good year. Yeah, Andrew Luck's not even in the league anymore. So we're having to pass the torch off to some of these newer guys. Well, Justin Fields hasn't really done it yet. Trevor Lawrence hasn't really done it yet. We have Davis Mills out there. He can't seem to do it. Baker Mayfield falls flat on his face. Josh Rosen's barely in the league anymore. I mean, these are first round quarterbacks that were supposed to usher in a new era. We haven't gotten it. So I think that we're like between, the good era, which was the last couple of years here, except for 2019. Again, I think that was a blip, but I think that like we're going to round the corner because we got like Joe Burrow in there, who's good. Justin Herbert, Mahomes, obviously, and Allen are kind of keeping everything above water. But I just think we're in a transitional period here. And when the quarterbacks are bad, like as Joe was mentioning, all those stats, when the quarterback's bad, it trickles down to where the rest of the offense can't be good because, if you cut the head off the snake, then the whole snake dies. Like that's just how it's going to work for these offenses. And I mean, somebody out there could probably make the argument that the defenses are better, but they're not that much better, right? Like they're not way better to where they're completely neutralizing these offenses. There's just their rules from the NFL are built for these offenses to succeed. Like we see this every week with these hits that, are like baby soft because they're trying to make the offenses good and they cannot make them good when the players can't follow through.
Well, I didn't pull stats because I'm not the OP economist, but I will say that if you look at the last 3 years, like you've said, there's been no great quarterbacks coming in, maybe a couple here and there that just have yet to prove it. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, for example. But at the same time, at the top of the class, there's always 2 to 3 defensive linemen. And really, that's going to cause problems for these mediocre, like, no offense to Davis Mills, love the guy to death, but he shouldn't be starting in the NFL probably.
Well, so, Kenny Pickett is the only first-round quarterback we had this season.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he belongs yet, at least. Not yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, these defensive linemen we're getting more and more of them, and teams are like pairing them up now. And yeah, there is more like sacks on quarterbacks. There's more disruptive plays to where they can't sustain a drive, basically. So maybe this next year it rights the ship itself with all the quarterbacks that are coming in. I mean, like you said, this is a pretty great QB draft class. Obviously, it won't be immediate, but in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, Josh, though, about the defensive players, I mean, we are an IDP channel. I mean, you're seeing the rotation with Buffalo. They kind of introduced it. We're seeing these defensive lines coming here fresh. But the other thing we're seeing is linebackers and defensive backs are coming right in. And, I mean, look at what Sauce did the other day. Look what Pat Surtain did against Mike Williams the other day. You get these really young guys that are just turning into absolute shutdown corners. And you get these really young stud linebackers, which we really haven't seen that much in the past. It usually takes them a while to develop. We became used to quarterbacks coming right in. We became used to wide receivers coming right in and being studs. But on the other side of the ball, you're starting to see these really competent players come through and just shine immediately. So these defenses are getting stronger at a faster rate than the offenses are, in my opinion.
And usually defensive players take a couple of years to, garner interest. Sometimes wide receivers can just jump right in for the most part.
We're seeing these guys, I mean, 4th, 5th, 6th round guys come in and all of a sudden they're starting and they look awesome. And it's
I do got to correct you real quick. The Eagles started the defensive line rotation a long since before the Buffalo Bills. Just want to say.
For the love of Pete.
Frank Reich.
George Halas in 1938 actually defensive lineman.
So, but to your point, Joe, like Tariq Woolen, the cornerback from Seattle, who's caught an interception for 5 straight weeks, like that's just pure luck. You're not going to get that from a quarterback.
Or was he 5th? What round was he?
I don't even remember. It was either 4th or 5th round. Like
he was
day 3 guy.
That's the thing is we're not seeing defensive players, or we're seeing this now that we never saw, and these guys are really freaking good. So, these defensive coordinators, these teams are realizing like, hey, we got some real talent coming out, and they're investing in that where it used to be more offensive ended.
Well, and here's the one last point that we haven't even really touched on yet. Some of these GMs are just not smart. Like the Eagles, for example, are a smart organization. They realize Jalen Hurts needs a wide receiver, so they go get him one. Tua down in Miami needed a wide receiver, so they went and got him one. Like in Oakland, Las Vegas, even though it hasn't worked so far, they realized that he needed a wide receiver there, so they went and got him one. These other coaches, or GMs, like for example in Green Bay, they leave Aaron Rodgers out there with nothing, and that's not going to churn any fantasy points out because you can't just make some of these guys into stars if they're not meant to be them. It's just if the talent's not there, they can't just force it to happen. We wish. And that's what everybody thinks is like Aaron Rodgers can make anybody a star. Well, clearly he can't, or at least he can't anymore.
Well, Dubs, for some reason, everyone absolutely loves Dubs. Like every time that the game's playing, they're like, there's Dubs again. There he is. And I'm like, I've yet to see him make a good play. He's caught
Doesn't
an easy
everyone
slant.
want dubs on the Impala, man?
I think that's what it is. But
Right.
back to the defensive point, just for a second. I feel like the thing that people they see a game that's a close game that they're not scoring a lot of points, i.e. the Chiefs Bills game last week, and they were saying this is bad. Why isn't this a high scoring game? Blah blah blah. That was one of the best games of football we're going to see in a long time, like until the
really
AFC Championship probably. But I don't understand why people don't enjoy a good football game. Probably because they're not playing IDP, but just and that was a great football game. Now, the Thursday night game, Washington, the Bears, that was just bad football. That wasn't defense. That was just bad football. And honestly, all Thursday games have been that lately, which, kind of glad about that. Fuck you, Bezos. But in general, like when you see a good game that's 20-20 and it's not 45-48, like get out of here. Just because you want fantasy points. I enjoyed that game thoroughly, even though I got my ass kicked by Mahomes and Josh Allen in 2 different leagues.
Yeah.
Well, we need fantasy points though at the same time.
We do need
But
fantasy.
I do think that, when you're watching like what happened with the Chiefs and Bills in the playoffs last year, you watch that game and you're like, well, they're going to have to get better on defense. Like that's the only way to fix this, like how they can win the next year. And so they go and do it. Like that's the thing. They went and did it. They went and got better on defense. And now they're making problems for Allen and Mahomes. And now the games aren't going to be as high scoring. So, I mean, when people address problems, it's not exactly good for fantasy because we want to see busted coverages, and there are still bad defenses out there, but they're trying to fix problems, and defensive development has gotten a lot better. I think we're starting to catch up a little bit, and I think it will get better when we get these new crop of quarterbacks in and maybe push things forward, but it's just an off year.
And it is an off year, but I want to throw one more little wrinkle and caveat in there because I'm always, very cynical about everything, is the officiating has been so god awful. I mean, how many games did you guys, the Monday night game that they just played, how many times did Mike Williams run down or not? Was it Mathis that kept getting lit up?
Yeah, he got like 4 pass interference calls.
They're blowing these calls up, and these teams are getting like 40, 50-yard gains on pass interference calls. So I think you're getting a lot of that too, where everyone's pulling the Aaron Rodgers now. Everyone's throwing at the guy knowing that, hey, if we get a pass interference call, that's 40 yards right there. And it's limiting the offense that these teams are able to get because the officiating is so freaking poor.
2 of them were definitely pass interference. The other 2 were probably not. Like, I can understand the conversation for it, but someone should have been like, nah, man, that wasn't it. Like, I do agree, though. Like, and one thing I hate about officiating, and this has nothing to do with the pass interference calls then, it's for one, I understand the protection of the quarterback. I'm not going to argue that. I understand why it's there, but they do get a little bit overzealous of that. But my problem is when they make a bad call and then they immediately like pass interference, they had one against what's his face on Monday night, and then immediately called a holding on the offense, which, as someone said a long time ago, there's a holding on every play. And I looked at the hold and it was very like, so it's almost like they're like, oh yeah, we should make up for it. Just call it better.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
so you
just
don't
so
have
many
to make up for it.
little plays that get flagged, and the offense just churns yards down the field that way, and it's getting kind of crazy at this point.
If you needed 10 points from Herbert last week, you got 8. So I understand why you're pissed. I barely eked out a game with Herbert, and I needed 7.5 points. So
it's true,
and it was all because of the pass interference.
So I want to close this out with a little exercise that we're going to do. We're going to go through each team, and we're going to say whether we think that quarterback in like dynasty you would want next season. All right, you ready for me to start?
Yeah.
All right, Eagles.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Buffalo. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't want Josh Allen.
You don't want Josh Allen.
Just kidding, obviously.
Minnesota with Kirk Cousins.
Nope.
Yeah.
Get him out.
Giants.
It's the wide
Daniel
receivers.
Jones.
Yeah, but
No.
Kirk's gone. I think after this year.
Kirk could be gone, but Giants. Daniel Jones.
No, absolutely not.
No, me neither. Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Obviously.
Sure.
Chargers. Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Yes. Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going anywhere. Jerry Jones loves him, unless Jerry Jones dies.
Okay.
Very possible.
New York Jets. Zach Wilson.
No.
Yes.
Me neither. Really? Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill.
Absolutely gone after this year.
I hope so. Indianapolis Colts. Matt Ryan.
Gone.
No.
Yeah, I agree. Tampa Bay. Tom Brady.
No.
In Dynasty, no. Because for one, he's playing terrible this year, and 2, he's probably going to retire or
I
get
think he won't
divorced
be
from
on.
his
I
second
don't.
wife.
I don't think he'll be on this team next year. To be honest with you. All right, San Francisco. I'm gonna say Trey Lance, but that seems like a hard proposition right now.
I don't really want
Yep.
either of them in Dynasty, honestly.
I don't think I do either, to be honest. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson,
Of course.
Yeah,
obviously. LA Rams, Matt Stafford.
not in
Yes.
Dynasty preferably, but I mean, I believe in Matt Stafford. I think
want
he'll be
him-
healthier.
I want him for one more year. I think McVay realizes we have Cooper Kupp and we don't have anybody else problem is an actual problem.
I guess if he's already on your team, but like I wouldn't trade for him. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Bengals, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, because he's going to play for 2 more years at least. I don't know how long his contract is, probably longer than that. And they're going to have to get him a wide receiver. Not this year. I don't want him this year. I have him.
I don't want him this year, but I agree. I think next year better days are ahead. Atlanta, I'm going to put Marcus Mariota in there right now, even though we don't
No.
really know.
I don't want either one of them.
I'm going to say no as well. Miami, Tua.
No,
I do. New England, Mac Jones.
absolutely.
Bailey
not.
Zappi.
Bailey
Give me-
Zappi.
I was about to say, give me Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi, here's the thing. We're going to stop real quick. Bailey Zappi at least makes the offense look like it could work. Like it's going to be something that you're going to want to watch. I never want to watch Mac Jones play. He never excites me as a passer.
But he went to Alabama.
Yeah, well, Alabama
Brain
quarterbacks
cells.
are something else. All right, Seattle and Geno Smith.
Maybe.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
Maybe.
If he doesn't get punched and his jaw broken by IK and Impali all those years ago, I think we're having a different Geno Smith discussion today.
No.
But that's just me. All right, New Orleans and Jameis.
I think, yeah, because
Yeah.
you're excited
Yeah.
about Olave. Michael Thomas will probably be there.
I think they might need to start looking at a different quarterback though. Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Yes.
We're hoping.
Hopefully. We has to. Denver and Russell Wilson.
No. I want to, but no.
I want to say yes because it's got to get better, right? Like, but there's no injury. I think that's the problem. Like, I mean, he's banged up here and there, like from questionable, but it's
Yeah,
not
they
like
said they have a thumb injury, but it's
Yeah,
like,
but-
well, okay,
Yeah,
sure he does.
sure he does exactly. But I mean, it's not a Matt Stafford shoulder injury that we knew going into the season.
All right, Washington and Carson Wentz.
He's gone.
No.
I think so too. I think rookie will be there next year. Cleveland and Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree.
As long as there's no more weird sexual allegations,
yeah,
Which
well,
there have been.
which there have been, but
I was about
they
to say.
seem to be ignoring them basically at this point.
Well,
Which
it's
seems
the
a bit
NFL.
sketchy by
It's
the
the NFL,
but-
baby. Arizona, Kyler Murray.
No.
Yes.
Yeah,
For me.
absolutely.
Chicago and Justin Fields.
Yes.
No.
If they get wide receivers, I'm in. If they continue to
If-
ignore the offense, then no.
If they
Uh,
rebuild their offensive line, I'll think about it.
They need a receiver. When we were watching that game, when I was watching that game, I honestly just said if they had a number one wide receiver, they win this game by 10 points. Easily.
Well, I
But
think
they don't.
Mooney is in the same boat as Devontae Smith, and would if AJ Brown got
Yes.
traded to the Bears this offseason,
Exactly.
I think
That's
Bears wouldn't look
exactly
exactly
it.
like the Eagles. But I think
When the
Hurts would
Bears
look-
trade for T. Higgins this offseason, which they should do, then we got a different story to talk about.
I think the Bears, if they follow the blueprint that the Eagles did, which is ridiculous because you guys had like 700 first round picks the last 3 years.
it didn't
but,
make sense.
I mean,
Yeah,
that would be definitely a good way to mimic your rebuild right there. You've got the same pieces.
the
I
only
agree.
problem with the Bears, and I mean this isn't supposed to turn into Bears hour here, but the only problem with the Bears is they traded the Khalil Mack trade killed them,
The
and then the
Khalil
Justin
Mack
Fields
trade
one on
was
top
tough,
of it. They lost 3 first round picks in that those 2 exchanges.
I believe.
So, like, they're
Those
just-
two.
That's
Oh,
3
three
players
total, yeah.
that could have been a starting one of the best offensive linemen. Yes, they're trash. That's fine.
Yeah.
That could have been their wide receiver 1. That could have been their. They don't need running backs because they draft those really well. But that could have been another piece on defense or the
A wide
offense.
receiver. That's what they need. They need
I already
to
said
draft
wide
a-
receiver.
Oh, okay, my bad. They need to draft a wide receiver. That's the only thing. Joe,
Joe
if you
Stinko
all
wants
don't
to come back at 50, man, let's go.
if you all don't have Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba or Quentin Johnston or something like anything of any of those players, Joe, I feel bad for you.
Hey,
All
one
right.
piece of news we didn't touch on: Deshaun Jackson's on Baltimore now.
He is. I didn't feel as 35 years old. Like that's,
to the moon, man.
yeah, I guess-
moon.
I guess so.
100-yard game.
He can't.
coming
He
up.
can't even make young players good. I don't know how he's gonna make him good.
You know
anyway,
he's going to have one game where he's like 160. and
163
2 touchdowns.
catches.
well, I hope you started him in DFS that week. All right, Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett.
We haven't seen enough.
As a
but
QB2,
I'm gonna say no.
I think I'm gonna have to give it a yes for now, but man, I really wish they wouldn't have gone.
I'm sorry, but
this year.
Trubisky looked great in that game. The only thing Pickett did was throw a dump off to Najee Harris. Like, I'm sorry.
I wish I wish they wouldn't have taken a quarterback this year. B, I wish we wouldn't have seen Kenny Pickett yet. Like,
True. I said that they shouldn't start him against Buffalo and then Tampa Bay.
This is the first time I've agreed with you in that regard. All right, Houston, they're gonna have a rookie.
No. I want Houston's rookie, whoever it is.
Okay. Detroit, I'm gonna say Jared Goff.
I feel like they're gonna draft a new quarterback, especially if they don't do well, which they're not right now. So yeah, I'm out on Goff as well.
The only problem I have with them, and I was doing a mock draft thing today, like just looking over mock drafts, and Detroit needs defense. Like, if they don't get Will Anderson or something in the draft, like, they don't need to be doing a quarterback yet. I don't think. I think they can
pick up a linebacker. Baby. I think they can pick up a linebacker in free agency. I'm sure there will be one that's of decent talent, and they should have money. They're not paying anyone. I mean, Jared Goff's
but is quarterback the problem with this team? I just don't think so.
I think that they need to pick up some defense, but I think their number one pick is the future because they have Jameson Williams, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, they have Swift, all aging, going along. If you kick that can down the road.
I mean, good point. They had the number one offense in the league after last week or before last week. So,
but it's not Jared Goff. Like, he's doing great. Don't get me wrong.
I know, but like, we can't be better than number one. But whatever. Anyway, Las Vegas, Derek Carr.
Yeah.
No. I don't believe in Derek Carr.
I mean, you're going to have him, but man, I feel bad about it. And then Carolina's getting a rookie. I refuse to believe Baker, Darnold, or PJ Walker are on this roster next season.
Don't go ahead and cut all those people right now. Maybe keep Sam Darnold because
exactly. You got to keep
especially
one
if
to
super
start,
flex.
But then the rest of them you can probably let go. But anyway, yeah, I think the way we just talked that out, I think at least half the league is something we're at least looking forward to, and we haven't had Tua. Haven't had Watson, we haven't had Prescott. Like
we haven't really had Fields yet.
We've been missing some. If the Jets put Flacco in there over Zach Wilson, Flacco would be interesting. There's a lot of different points here where I think this could get better in the future. But for now, the quarterbacks are a little bit of a train wreck.
Absolutely.
I think 100%. We're just spoiled on quarterbacks, but